Channel 3 is the future.
Welcome, crew, to What Are Your Three, a Channel 3 podcast where we take a member of the Channel 3 community, discuss 3 games of their choosing, go through some honorable mentions and some other odds and ends so we have a nice little video game discussion. I'm Dan Tucker, and with me as always is Ray, but guess what? I'm not kicking it to him. He's going to sit there and he's going to shut up this time, because guess what? He's not co-hosting tonight. cknbromein is. So first of all, we're going to say hi to cknbromein, and then I'll get to my introductions here.
What's going on, crew? Thanks you guys so much for having me, and playing a little role reversal here with our little pilot episode that we had for What Are Your Three. So I'm excited that you guys invited me over to co-host with you guys as we put Ray on the grill here. So I'm definitely excited about it.
Well, I'm going to first of all just shout out Nanner, who was the redemption master for this particular episode. Ray and I dreaded it. It was a lot easier, I think, when we put it on the prize wheel, Ray, and said, whoever gets the episode's not gonna blow it on us.
Right? They'll be excited for someone else. Joel's like, "Hey, should we put this on?" I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a fun idea." Nobody's gonna want to spend 25 levels on us. That will literally never happen.
The ticket booth economics entirely changed the podcast redemption. So Nanner has blamed Nanner for this one, as it will now have been 2 weeks or 3. No, it'll be 3 weeks since my episode, which has not actually aired yet. It will air after we record this, but there's we're going to transport in time of 3 weeks or something like that before you get to Ray's episode. So whatever. Anyway, so with us tonight, our guest is Ray himself. Has been pinned down. c3.gg/Ray. Of course, the amount of things to plug for him don't involve sleep. I know that much. He doesn't plug. He doesn't plug being a teacher extraordinaire. He does not plug being a teacher extraordinaire. But everything on the site, he is somewhere in the background, wherever you think he's not. He is propping things up and putting things together and assembling. And again, while I technically have a head of content title, he has head of events. So he is the man behind the scenes putting all of that together. So Ray, you can now say hi to everybody, Ray.
Hey, what's going on? Maybe one day I will be officially head of events if the business cards ever make it to me. According to Canva, my address is not real. So we'll see if those cards ever make it to me.
The replacements are on their way, and by the time this episode is not coming out for like 3 weeks, so everybody will know you've already got them.
Yeah, the only person I have to message Nanner. I will message him and say, "Hey, it's done." But that's basically
just let him know the debts are paid.
Your redemption has gone well.
That's right. I don't know. We'll see if it went well, but it will have gone.
Well, let's get into that redemption then. We're going to start with your first game, Ray. You sent us a list that, again, listen, it was just I wasn't sure, where your list was going to go. There are a couple of predictions on here that I probably could have made, but your list could have really gone anywhere. It's still on brand and still would have been on brand, but we're going to start off with Mario 64, of course. And I'm going to ask you first of all, since this and Pilot Wings were the 2 Nintendo 64 games that existed when the system dropped, where did the Nintendo 64 come in for you? You a staunch defender. I'm not attacking the 64. Don't come at me with this now. I will host you back into the corner. But I'm going to ask, where did the Nintendo 64 story begin for you?
So I'll start and say, when I made this list, to me, it's very obvious that this would be my list, generally speaking. I don't think it's obvious for everybody who I play games with now, whatnot, because I think the way I play games has changed over time. But to me, this was always going to be my list. The Nintendo 64 is probably, to me, that's my first system. I had a Nintendo and I had a Super Nintendo. The Nintendo, I just the vaguest memory of it. I learned later my grandmother bought it without without even knowing what it was. She just got it and told my parents, "Hey, by the way, here you go. I got this for your kid." You know, me being the firstborn child, so I know I had the Mario Duck Hunt combo for sure. And that system was in the first apartment that I remember living in. I'm like 3, 4 in that place. Then I'm pretty sure she bought the Super Nintendo for our place as well, and that's the next apartment. And you know, I had Mario All Stars on it, Super Mario World. I had an X-Men game. Like I loved playing an X-Men game. But like I was still really little playing these games, so I have some memories of it. I remember like Mario All Stars is the way I remember Mario. I don't really have memories of Nintendo Mario. Like I have the the quote unquote upgraded graphics. That's my Mario.
Mario 3 applied to everything basically.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. So then the 64. I lived a very fortunate life where my parents did not start with the whole bunch of money, but I somehow had kind of like every new Nintendo system. Essentially, it always showed up at Christmas, and it was always a big deal. Every Christmas, there was like 1 or 2 new games, and when the 64 came out and Super Mario 64 was there, and I you see the box art, and he's got wings on his hat. And you turn the game on and the music comes on, and that's my version of the Mario theme song. Like that, when I think of Mario, that's the song that comes to my head. Being able to stretch his face out, which is going to become one of the best Mario Party games, to be able to do that. And just that opening sequence, the camera's flying around, you see Lackey 2 going, and he jumps out of a pipe, and it's like go. And it's they don't really tell you what to do. They just says Peach has invited you to the not Peach, excuse me, Princess Toadstool, according to the letter, has invited you to the castle. Come get a cake, and it's like, all right, go. So that's just like that. I remember that. I remember sitting there, turning it on, music playing, start game.
So was that? Did you have hype? Did you have build up for the 64? Was this a system? I don't know what your level of awareness was in the world. I mean, I was GamePro generation, right? I was, I had that there. So I was at the age where the magazines were relevant and everything for me, but probably not really for you yet. So was this like, did you know the 64 existed? Had you played it, or had you seen it, in the demos in the world? Was this a total surprise when you opened this up when you opened the game up for the first time?
No, total surprise. My parents played arcade games back in the day, but that didn't really come up until a little bit later, like learning that about them and connecting that. So this just showed up one day. This Nintendo 64 showed up, and I remember the fact that I was playing Super Mario World, and then all of a sudden this game was 3D and the colors just kind of like shot off the screen. And I mean, so yeah, huge surprise being 5. Probably, because I'm pretty sure usually things were Christmas. I'm pretty sure I got it the year it came out. Maybe it was the next year. So I was like, I'm like 4 or 5, but I remember playing it.
I was trying not to do the math in my head, but thanks for pointing it out there. It stung a little bit more.
I was doing the same thing. So I was like, I know I'm kind of between you guys. So I was like, oh, if I remember that time frame, yeah. So that would make sense. And yeah, it was definitely definitely sure as an early memory for it is incredible, especially going from the Super Nintendo over to the 64 is huge.
So you go in, so you don't even know either, because so I knew coming into the game because Nintendo had sent out like videotapes. It was like their hype video for it. So I knew I was running into the castle and I was jumping into a picture frame. Do you remember at all what that was like for you, opening up and you see the 3D world and you see Peach's castle or Princess Toadstool's castle in 3D? Like, how did you approach this at that age then?
I feel like my parents realized pretty quickly that like I got video games. Like I got the concept. I knew I could pick up a controller. We moved the characters. And so I remember I got it, and there's a castle, and I said, okay, I should go to the castle. So I run to the castle. It pauses you. It probably took me a few minutes, kind of walking around to figure out where the first door was when you go into the castle. because it's it's the one with a blank on it. But outside of that, they don't really tell you to go to the blank one. At least I don't remember them telling you to go towards it.
Nope, they just like you said, it doesn't have a number or a star on it. You just kind of end up there, yeah.
So I'm sure maybe I hit a door and they were like, "Yeah, you can't come here because it's you don't have it open yet." And then I saw one. I was like, "Oh well, this one has nothing on it." And you just like run forward, like you just go forward because that's where you have to move because this is still like my first 3D thing. So at side scroller games, you just go right. You just go right, and that's what the next thing is. So I figured, well, I'll just go forward, and I'll hit something eventually. And I jumped in, and the music plays. It goes, ha 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 ha. And that's the start of it. You go.
You already mentioned though there, like how different was that? Like jumping into the 3D world with that camera, because I've heard both sides about people. Some people liked it, some people didn't like the camera and the way it sat. Going from a side scroller to that, like what was your thoughts playing? I
was so like to this day, I will defend it and say that they will never be like a technological jump like there was from 16-bit graphics to 64 bits, and the color, the color is just what gets me. It's these like the bright red. When you play Enhance, I feel like when it's a Mario game, whichever one it is, it's a Mario game because the red is just a specific red, and there's a specific blue, and the grass is always a very specific green. And like I always look back at Mario 64 as when they kind of settled in on those colors. Because the Super Nintendo has these bright graphics, but it's still side scrolling. They don't glow. It almost feels more hand drawn, but that 3D, they say we're going to use these polygons. And so it just had to have these bright colors to it.
So when you think of this game, what comes to mind? What level, what environment, what special power? Like what do you think of? What's the first thing if we do the test and just say Mario 64, what do you think of?
So, a couple things. The first level, just because it's the introduction to so many things. There's a cannon. There's a floor that's not opened, and it doesn't open until like the second level or third level when Bombette kind of shows up. There's an island in the sky, and there's these coins floating, and you're like, how am I supposed to hit these coins? You don't know that the flying power is there. So I'm like, what? Like, there's questions in it. Like, I'm clearly not gonna be able to play the whole level at once. I think of the first water level, the Jolly Roger, I think it's called, because that eel terrified the living crap out of me. I'll tell you, I got a problem with underwater levels, and it's because of this game. I played. The first level, that eel comes out, and I was like, no, I don't need to play this. I don't have to play this level anymore.
What's this giant hole over here? Let me swim towards it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that freaked me out. And it's the most realistic thing. At that time, I see it as like, wow, the graphics are never going to get better than this. Like, this is as crazy as it can be. And then the underground is just kind of my favorite area. I like those levels. I think they all actually have a shell that you can slide on. Metal Mario is there, and I like the music is cool. The underground levels all have kind of extras. Like you go to the volcano level and you can jump in a volcano. Like that's all like a hidden section. You go to the desert and you can make the top of the pyramid explode. The pyramid's got like 3 different segments to it. So those are the things I think of for sure.
How does Nintendo do that? Where they balance discovery for you and also making sure everybody does in fact discover it at the same time? How's everybody gonna know I'm going into the volcano? Like, why would you think riding a shell into the volcano is a good idea? Why would you why would you ride a shell and spin around the top of the pyramid and crack open yet another section of the pyramid here? Like, how did they do that?
So the volcano one, I think they make a little more obvious because I think the level title like has the name in it.
Yeah, you got the little clues. Yeah.
So that one is like you're gonna eventually fall into it. Again, I just feel like I always as a kid understood games, and so I understood certain things to try out. If I go back to Donkey Kong Country, I know to go left just in case there's something there. in every other game, but there might never ever be there, but I know to try it out. So I would try stuff like that. I can't tell you how I figured out the desert one, because that one you have to, you have to take the shell. Well, I mean, you don't have to, but it makes it a lot easier. And you got to ride on top of the 4 pillars and hope you land them all. And then the music play. Like I couldn't tell you how I figured that out today.
So the Bowser fight. So again, like I'm picturing this. I mean, again, I was a little bit older than you. I wasn't, a grown man or anything, but I've wondered with my own kids, how do they come into a world starting in 3D as opposed to like learning the concepts of gaming? So your mind's still forming, you kind of inherently get them, but how do you approach the Bowser fights when you go into that? And again, I think they make kind of obvious about kind of running around him and whatnot, but like what's going through your mind then when you're at that age? You're like, I'm going to grab Bowser and just throw him off the side of the stage.
Oh, I'm sure my first idea was to try to like jump on his head, and I'm sure I ran forward and just crashed into him. And once I crashed once, I was like, well, that doesn't work. And he probably throws some fireballs, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? And I was like, well, there's these weird things on the side of the stage or like surrounding the stage. And you start running around him, and also he's like, wait, he doesn't follow you as fast as he really should as you start running around. And his like the giant tail's just kind of sticking out. And eventually, I can punch. Well, and then you grab it, and once you hold him, it's like, oh, okay, I should spin the control stick the way these 64 controllers want you to do, even though they can't handle it. All I remember is these control sticks just flopping over on all my controllers. And then you let him go. And he screams out one of the best lines of all time, and you throw him into a bomb.
I'm ignoring that last comment. Which power up? What's your power up in here?
Metal Mario. I like it a lot. And it's really more. I think it's the music more than anything else. Invisible Mario basically plays star power music, so at least they sneak that in there with that. And then obviously like flying is cool. Actually, flying does it too. Flying will do eventually, at least when you unlock it, will do star power music. But Metal Mario had its own music, and I like that one.
So you made a comment in here. We have to talk specifically about the DS version of this game. Now, I want to start with, what was your expectation? Because the cover art's a little bit different. Lets you know something's up here. But what was your thought when you turned the game on and you were expecting to see Mario get an invitation to come have some cake with Princess Toadstool in the castle?
So the DS that came out with the Nintendo DS. And I was in 7th grade. I remember 7th grade, the DS comes out, Mario 64 is on it, and I've loved this game. I've at this point I've beaten the game, and I've probably 100%ed it. It's the first game ever that I get. I got all 120 stars in, and so I get it on the DS, and we're excited because we know there's multiplayer. We're not really sure how it is, but a couple of my friends all get a DS. And we can play multiplayer and be in different classrooms. There was 2 7th grade classrooms at school I went to. And so there's 2 of us in one room and 2 of us in the other. And we're playing all together over this, over this like DS Wi-Fi kind of local play system thing. And,
was it Street Pass? There was some name for it. Yeah.
My mind's blown because, I don't have to have a link cable in my Game Boy and play Pokemon and talk to the person at the same time, and hopefully the cable's plugged in enough, and hopefully we can play a Pokemon battle against each other. This is like, no, you open a room and then you invite your friends and then you play these multiplayer games to get this. I mean, that was mind blowing. Changed everything.
Were you surprised at all with that one? Again, with doesn't open up with Mario, doesn't open up the same way. Anything there?
It was just, it was just cool because they made it a different game. It was the game, but they added like 30 stars to it, and as somebody stars involved have using the other characters, so it was fun to have a new version of like the first game that I really loved.
Have you cracked this one with the kids yet?
No, I haven't. We've played original Mario. He tried which one? We've tried original. And I think he tried 2 for a little bit, and we like played one level of 2. He was like, and my son was like, "What's going on? Like, I don't like this is weird. Why am I?
Daddy, is this like being high? What is this?"
Yeah. So like he's also already at 5 was like, this doesn't feel like every other Mario game we've played so far. Like, what's going on here? So he's not into it. So we played the original. I mean, that was a trip. We played Mario 3D World together, and we beat that one. We've played a couple levels of Wonder, but him playing, big memory was him beating the first level of Super Mario Brothers, because this was like a 45-minute process for him to beat. I think sometimes adult gamers, will be like, hey, I can speed through this old game in an hour or whatever. And I'm like, man, this thing is so easy. And it's like, yeah, but it wasn't made for a 30-something-year-old person to play. It was a kid's game. And so it's hard. Like, I'm watching this, he's going at it. I mean, 45 minutes fall, like losing to the first Goomba. Like, it's jumping wrong and it hits him and over, and he finally makes it to the checkpoint. And we're like, okay, we're halfway there. And then he loses all his lives and he starts all over again. And he finally hits it, and man, he screamed. He screamed, I screamed. It was like this huge moment to beat the first level of the game. And it was like a huge reminder, like, oh yeah, this is what the games were made for. It was for the kids to play, and it's challenging. It's challenging for a kid to kind of learn this game that has no instructions to it.
I could not agree with that more, because I feel like we all fall into that trap of, we've all been gaming for such a long time. Like you said, like speed runnings, we all fall into it depending what type of games we play. So being able to share that moment there with your kid is amazing. And just being able to have that joy together in that moment is just awesome, to bring you back to those times of being able to open games for the first time and running through those first levels. That's huge.
Yeah. And I think back, like, I always think that I was a little better at games than I probably was, because I was, playing everything, younger, and thinking my parents must have been watching it. They didn't play those kind of games. I learned later, like, my mom was huge on Galaga. And so, like, we got when the Namco pack came on the 64. That's the first time I played it. I had the Galaga and Galaxian and Pac-Man. And that's when I learned, like, oh, like my mom would kick my ass in Galaga over and over and over. And I was like, there's no way. Like well, you've never, like, I swear you've never played a video game in your life. This is me at 8 and 9 years old. It's like, my parents never played a game, and she's like, let me teach you real quick. And so, like, she'd kill me in Galaga. My dad would kill me in Pong. Like, we found Pong in an arcade with, like, these, like, the rollers that you would, like, roll. I don't know if you've seen it. So Pong, like, tabletop at an arcade. Yeah. We found one of those, and I was like, let's go, Dad. Like, let me show you what's up. And killed me. He was like, you have no idea. He's like, this is what I do. I couldn't touch him.
You're just walking back to the table at the Pizza Hut or whatever, and you got a black eye. Your dad didn't even hit you. It's just that's how badly he beat you at Pong. You just bruised up.
I like, that's like a core memory of how shocked I was. And I was like, oh, they played different kinds of games. Like, it was, it just wasn't console stuff, but they had their games. And so they must be watching me. And like, there has to be moments that I'm doing stuff that they probably think, like, man, how is this kid still not getting this? Because I'm staring at my kid and like, oh my God, please just hold the jump button down. Please. Like, we've done this 20 times already. And so, like, it was a very funny, like, full circle moment with that.
The Goomba's going to be in the same place.
Yeah, right. It's the same place, kid. It's the same place. You've even said it out loud to me that the mushroom is going the opposite way of where you are. Like, you've literally made this connection already. Please pick up the mushroom and go.
Well, on the note of a timer that's present in Super Mario Brothers, there's not a timer in your second game. As we move into Super Mario Brothers Wonder, 2023 side-scroller entry for Mario. It had long been rumored. It had been coming for a while. There were buzzings about, and I think we all thought, oh great, they're going to do new Super Mario Brothers. That's all we're going to get. They're going to take another run at it. They're going to run it through the Mario Maker setup, and here we go. So I'm going to ask, first of all, we'll get back to the timer, and I want to hit on that. That was just my segue point, but I want to ask you, when the first information was dropping and Nintendo was having their direct and releasing, here's Wonder, and you see this is not the Mario that we've had for the last 2 decades since the Wii. This is a literal new Mario. He's been redesigned. What was your thought process there? What were you thinking?
So I'm of the opinion that Nintendo hits nothing but home runs when it comes to their big titles. I mean, even like I'm not a fan of Super Mario Sunshine, and I feel like I have to say is if I'm finally getting interviewed, I'm going to say like I'm not a big fan of the game. I actually think it's just too hard. Like the gimmick is the flood, and that's cool. And then the levels I'm stuck on are all the ones that you lose the flood.
Insert the Eric Andre, something so brave yet so controversial yet so brave.
So that's my issue with that game is that you put this concept in, and then the levels I can't get past that are stopping me from being in the game are all platforming levels that don't use the flood. So like I feel like there's a disconnect there. But still, like every time Mario's involved in the game or Link, I think they're home runs. So I see a brand new setup, and Mario turns into an elephant. And I'm like, okay, this is about like they've decided they're going to make like another amazing game. So like I'm all in anytime we put out a first party game for Nintendo.
So they're here. It's a true first party, not a subcontracting to somebody else. It's true first party. Mario looks a little different. He's a little stumpier, a little different than he's been designed in the past. But the wonderful, so you mentioned the elephant comes into this, but the Wonder Flower element, they're immediately teasing and letting you know something's up here, and you've got that again trippy image. I remember the pipe kind of crawling along there like it's a worm. What was your thought when you see like this is coming? You're just like, whatever, just give it to me, Nintendo. You're telling me I want it, and yes, I want it. Is that what you thought, or where were you?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, if this is you're telling me this is what I'm supposed to do, then yes, this is what I will do. I think they kept it really hidden. Kind of like the way they kept the depths hidden in Tears of the Kingdom. They all they did was talk about these islands in the sky, and you're thinking like, all right, we're gonna have the same map with a couple islands in the sky. Like that doesn't seem like enough for a brand new game. Like this might be a letdown. And there's an entire underground. And you're like, oh, of course there is, right?
An entire underground perfectly aligned to the main map, yes.
Yeah, right. It's a huge thing. The Wonder Flowers in that little demo just make it seem like, oh, it's we'll have some fun music and the level will look a little wonky and like some stuff will come alive. And they hid the fact that no, the Wonder Flower is gonna basically add an extra level, right? Like an extra half level inside of every level. Which is like such a ridiculous concept in itself, and just
not even an extra half a level, but an entirely different play structure and game. It's not even like you're playing Mario anymore. You're walking on the walls, doing a top down overhead walk on the walls. Now you're playing as a bad guy. Now you're whatever. Like it's more than that even. It's just an entirely different game inside of each of those levels.
You almost like you don't need. I guess you don't really need to play any of them too to kind of make it to the end game if you really wanted to. I mean, what a miserable way to play and not use the Wonder Flowers.
Miyamoto is somewhere right now. He's filled with rage. He doesn't know why. He's angry about something. He's not sure what happened.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like it's so creative. It's always super creative, and I think this one and Odyssey, both are these like love letters to. I feel like this is the ultimate of 35 years of Mario. There's so many pieces of it that I think. Two that I think of is when Mario hits a Wonder Flower and he's floating in space as his little like fat Mario, and I was like, oh, that's Super Mario World. That's you. That's when you grab that P and you turn it into a balloon. Like it's the same exact thing, and they brought it back. And then the dragon that you ride in like one or two levels, I was like, that dragon is from Yoshi's Story. That's the same exact dragon. You ride his head and he floats around. And they just call back so many things and put it all in one spot. And I just like I love that stuff.
Were those your favorite Wonder Flowers, or was there a different one that really sticks out for you?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. No, listen, the parades are so good. I love
it. Had to be.
I love all the parades. I think the Boo parade is my favorite actually. The piranha one is just like I don't know. How could you see that coming? You're gonna hit this flower. By the way, the game's gonna sing to you. And if you're nice enough to not hit any of the plants, you'll hear the full song. If you take out a plant, all of a sudden it's an instrumental. You don't have the vocals anymore. But the Boo one is the best, especially because you have to not look at the Boo for him to sing. So you have to actually really try to hear his opera song that he does.
All right, Mr. Base Skin, what was your character you went with here?
Blue Toad. I can't tell you why. Sometimes Daisy, but I could not.
I can't play as Mario. I've got a brand to maintain. I can't do this.
Right? I'm sure I used Mario. I probably used Mario early on, just because it didn't matter because all the characters work the same. But I landed on Blue Toad, and that's why I generally played with.
Did you pull Howard Hughes after that and just like rub your hands with soap so vigorously you felt so awful you just rub them bloody in the sink because you felt so dirty playing as a base character?
Just a couple. The only one I'll use too is I'll use Yoshi when I play with my son, or if my wife plays too. We've played a couple together because I'll just sit back and that way he can attempt the level as many times as he wants, and I just can keep reviving him. So that's how I play when we play together.
So that's a good call out now for the mix of difficulties. I hadn't thought about the sociopathic behavior that you mentioned where you could technically play this game without touching a single Wonder Seed. I would never. that's truly psychotic behavior, but I'm sure there are 175 videos on YouTube of that right now, and good for those folks. But the question I really had was asking on your thoughts about the mix of difficulties, because you could play this game probably on these 1 and 2 star levels and get through the game, but then there's also 4 stars, and we'll get to the other piece of this after that. But again, especially playing with your kid and your family, how's that work with a mix of difficulties and how that all played out?
I really, I never thought that I would like something like that, where they tell you, hey, this level, this is this much, this much. But I really enjoyed it. There was something about knowing what you were getting into with each level that was nice to see. And you knew each level had a 4-star kind of sitting somewhere. And they were like some of these 4 stars were challenging. The 3, 2, 1s are all fairly simple. The 4s, and then of course they hide the 5s all away in the hidden world. But I really liked it. They gave options for to kind of really let everybody play the game the way they wanted to. So
you brought up the hidden world. We knew it was going to be right. It's a tradition. Unlike any other, going back, you've got Super Mario World and the Star Road. So you knew there were going to be extra exits out of this game. You knew there was going to be something, but did you know exactly what you were walking into when the bonus world was opening up piece by piece?
So, I mean, I figured there was going to be a bonus world, right? Because I'm like, this game is clearly, again, it's following Odyssey, and Odyssey is nothing but callbacks to every Mario game before. That is what Mario Odyssey is, and I love it for that. And so I get to the first one, and I see 5 stars, and I'm like, all right, well, how hard is it going to be? Like the 4 stars were hard, but I got through it. It takes 2, maybe it takes 3 times certain ones. I'm like, how much harder is this 5-star going to be? And I can't remember which first one I played. I just know I got my butt kicked in it, and I said, oh, okay, they are here. They set up a bunch of levels for people that've played the game a lot to go suffer through. And so like I think every single one of them is like a truly 5-star level. Like they did a really good job with those.
So then you get to the final level, then you find out there's a final,
and then the semifinals, and then the finals.
Yeah. So walk us through that. We didn't get the pleasure of watching you do that one live, but no doubt many of Mario's gave their lives. So the finals, I'd say the final level and then the semifinal, whatever it was before the final. I remember like neither one of those giving me that big a headache. I'm pretty sure I beat both of them like pretty easily because I almost felt like the others, like all the other levels, kind of trained me for. Like I was used to like what they were gonna send at it.
So those first two, I was like, oh, I beat them. They were challenging, but I got through them. And then the final level, I think it took me 3 days to do it because I'd get through 2 sections, and then I tried to do a third, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like mentally exhausted from getting 2 sections done. Like this is taxing, and so I'd have to go to the next day. I was like, oh, let me get 2 more sections done, and I'm like pausing the game and just kind of leaving it paused. I'm gonna have to do this again another day, and so I had to do it in pieces because it is absolutely exhausting using every ability.
I was gonna say, for anybody who's not familiar, this was the final level. There are they're like a dozen badges or whatever there are in the game that instead of, as Ray mentioned, all the characters are the same, but instead of giving you, Luigi having a little bit of an extended jump, you put on the badge on whatever character you wanted, and they got a little bit of a flutter jump. So each piece of this level used one of the badges. So you were going in and playing an entirely different mechanical structure for the game. And you only got to say, it only got you to a recovery point every, 3 or 4 areas too. So it was like, you messed up the 4th one, you're going back to the first one.
And that's the exhausting part too, because there was a point, I don't remember, I'm not remember exactly which one was really killing me, but I was speed running the 2 sections before it because they were giving me no problem. I mean, I probably could have done with my eyes closed how many times I had to restart, and it was just exhausting. Like, okay, let me just do this again, and then I'll mess up the section that I could do perfectly because I'm so tired of pressing the same button over and over again. And so, that's just part of the challenge. The fact that, they're going to send you back 2 sections. You know already how to do these. And then now you have to practice again this 3rd section. Every badge is used in the worst way possible. All these badges are supposed to be helping you. And they're like, yeah, but what if we gave you the badge and then we made the level like really difficult to use that badge with? That's what this final level is.
I'm going to wrap this up, not with a question per se, but just, you brought it up going back to Super Mario Odyssey, but Nintendo with their first parties at this point, they've had a clear pattern of just giving us an extra game that we didn't know existed. Whether it's Odyssey and all of the post-moon activities of unlocking a second part of every single level, whether it's the depths, whether it's going to Pikmin 4 and finding out, oh no, they rolled credits and that's only half the game. There's another half a game they're making you go back and play for another 20, 25 hours. What's with Nintendo just like not telling us about these things? And what's going to happen when you go to play a game and there's not a hidden game inside of it at this point?
Well, you know what? I think, who was it? I don't know if it was Miyamoto or Sakurai made the comment like, hey, these like your game trailers should be gameplay. Like stop doing
oh, yeah, that's a Sakurai video. Yeah.
Sakurai, right. Like you're like, stop making these videos, everything except gameplay. And so it's like, here's a trailer, here's gameplay. We're just not going to tell you all the gameplay in it because we still would like you to be surprised when you play a game. I don't like that everything gets leaked. I know, again, I think Sakurai had an issue with that where every, new character, screen video was leaked before you saw it.
Oh, that, as I understand it too, that was not pretty when that happened either. There were, he wanted bodies. He made seem like a nice jovial man. He wanted bodies for that.
But I too, there's a lot of stuff like that. I don't like leaked stuff. Here's my soapbox. Like I don't like stuff leaked. I don't like speed running. Like I don't like when video games or anything is not played the way the people who made the game want you to play it. Like I think these people work really hard to set up a very specific, direction, a specific story, and like I want to play the game the way they envisioned it. Like I'm just not a fan of breaking games and all that kind of stuff. So like I'm there with it. I'm happy. I want to be surprised. I want to see something new when I play the game.
Right. Well, that's covering there. Super Mario Wonder there, which is, I think, one of the fantastic games last year that was released. But moving on to game number 3 here is another popular Nintendo character that we've seen throughout the different consoles and stuff. But going on the Super Nintendo, because I didn't want to get controversial and say SNES, even though I do agree with Ray on that one. But we got Kirby Superstar. It's a 3.8 rating there on Channel 3. And I saw on one of the quests that we had that it's your second most replayable game behind Mario 64. Why is that?
So here's the thing, and I know why Kirby gets low ratings, and it's because nobody understands what the point of Kirby games are. Kirby games are not supposed to be difficult. Like, the point of every Kirby game is to go have a nice time, get these power-ups, and just kind of go through the same exact bosses every game. Like, you are going to play against the tree, and the tree is going to teach you how to play the game. And it's just like Kirby's just there to have a fun time. And that's why I replay this one so often, because it's easy. It's not a hard game to play. All the sections, are simple enough. And so you can play it over and over again because it's a fun game.
Oh, I definitely feel that. I think Kirby Dreamland was my first iteration with it, and just the replayability in general of talking about how simplistic it is in a sense is just so nice, and picking up, especially being younger when you were playing it, and is definitely something that's is fun there for it. But I did find it very interesting that it's actually, well, they say 8 games in one, but technically it's 9 with the arena in there. Did you find yourself playing just through all of them, or was it just one particular one of the games that you really enjoyed?
No, whenever I play it, I play through all of them, and I play through what I think is kind of the order, because I forget the first one's like Spring Breeze, and it's supposed that is supposed to be the easiest thing in the world. Kind of calling back to the kind of the early Kirby games before Kirby even had powers, just kind of just floating about. And so I'll play them in order. The Big Adventure, the Kirby Adventure, being the one I spend the most time in, trying to collect all the items in it. I think there's 60 items, whatever it is. But yeah, I would play them all in order every single time.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Speaking of abilities and talk about gaining powers and things like that, this was the first title that we saw that you started getting the hats and things that Kirby kind of took on the persona. And I found it interesting that there's actually 25 of them, even though a bunch of them were reskinned with it. But you also could take those abilities and be able to pass them on to helpers or a co-op, if you will, having a second player there as well. And you were talking earlier about being the oldest. Did you actually use that as a co-op opportunity, or are you using like the AI helper throughout that?
No, that was co-op. Once my middle brother, really the youngest one, I don't think I played this game with as much, but middle brother for sure. That was the best, because you give him a power. Anytime if he dies, you can turn him back into the power and just reset him. So it was absolutely a co-op game for me with my middle brother for sure.
Which is awesome too, because like it almost looked like from what I was understanding, looking through it, is actually you could have like the second player hop in and out anytime you really wanted, because you just passed off that ability with pressing A, and you'd have the AI helping until someone pressed any button on the second controller, and they're like, all right, now you can play it. And so that's pretty cool. They'd be like, hey, you want to hop in for a level, you want to come hang out for a bit. So that's pretty cool, being able to just have that time to spend there with siblings to do all that there. So I do want to go back, and this is probably about close to 18 months ago, we actually had a time trial for Kirby Superstar. Have you finally recovered from that, going against Cody Davis there?
Let me tell you, I did. It's not like I didn't do these like as a kid. Like any game that had time trials was like completely ignored by me. It was not something I cared to do when I played games. I had no plans on this being such an intense kind of matchup.
I remember watching going that down. Like it was just like, just going back and forth. And just all of us, I think, were just amazed, just like going back and forth, like who's going to throw up a better time? Who's going to, it was quite impressive to watch.
I had no idea that you could get like that speeds could get so fast. I mean, to the point that I'm watching videos and I know Cody and I did the level 2 completely different ways. Because it was different styles of how to get the fastest time, and we weren't doing it the same style. So it's not like we could even copy each other, because we had different ideas of kind of like what we were going to do the best way. I'm watching videos to the point that there was a newer version. I was like, so there was like Superstar Ultra. I didn't play it, but apparently that game had a separate skill that you could speedrun faster. And I learned about that. I was like, oh, I have to find videos of the original because you can't do this new skill. So yeah, it was not planned. I could say that much.
Bromein, this is where I have to specifically call out. It was a Sunday night. I believe this was early in the podcast days. So we had recorded an episode, and usually Ray and I stick around a couple minutes afterwards, and we make sure the week's all planned out and all the events are squared away. And I start cackling like a maniac because it was a Sunday, which means it was football day, which means Ray thought it was over. He thought, oh, Cody's going to be wiped. He's done.
He's got a job.
He's got a job, and his job is physically intensive.
Is his boss.
Yeah, he has one of the most notorious bosses in the entire country. And I start cackling like a maniac because this meant that man walked off the professional football field and then went and wanted to make sure he sent Ray a message. And sure enough, popped the time up, and Ray lost sleep over that one.
Yeah, I think I remember a couple memes out there about students asking if the day off that Ray had to take after trying to, running this time trial through and through and through is did he finally get some rest from it? But so that's what I'm asking. Like, have you finally recovered? What is sleep? I don't.
I've never slept in my life. But the worst part of it is I probably spent like an extra 30, 45 minutes that I needed to, because I beat his time and didn't realize I beat his time. And so I kept going, thinking I hadn't gone fast enough yet. And so I think I ended up beating his time twice. And then later realizing, I had already done it. And I'm like killing myself trying to get a 1/10 of a second more. It was awful. I don't love time trialing. Not because it's not cool and it's fun to watch people who are really good at it. It's because I start obsessing over it, and it's just not healthy for me. Yeah. I start obsessing. It's like, it's never a good thing. I don't feel good afterwards doing it.
You just start going down that rabbit hole of, I just got to be better, faster, stronger. And then, once it's over, you're just looking at what have I done? Yeah. So we were talking abilities. I'm going to hop back real quick. Did you have a favorite copy ability? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really boring. Like I always think of I'll tell my students, and I tell people I don't find myself to be a particularly interesting person, I don't think I like cool things. My favorite ability is the bombs, because I think they're really useful. I can throw them in, I can throw them in every direction. I can hit the bosses that are flying in the air. So bomb, even in the new game, even in the Forgotten Land, I'll use the bombs because I can throw them everywhere. The ninja's cool because you could stick on the wall. So that was a cool, funny thing. The plasma is not practical because you have to tap your D-pad side to side to charge it up. So it's not very practical, but that's cool to do. And then the other core memory I have, and my son got to experience this with Return to Dreamland Deluxe that we just played together, is the stone ability. But there's a muscle man statue that you can get as one of the random drops, and I just it's not that funny, but me and my brother would laugh hysterically over it. That Kirby has all these statues, and there's just random. They just put in this random muscle man, and his pose changes if you're sliding down a hill while you do it too. So we'd sit there just constantly pressing the rock till we got it, and just laughing hysterically over it. And it's probably not that funny, but man, it was just I remember it so much. And then the new game had it. Dreamland Deluxe had the rock, and my son's like, "This is the best power in the world." And I'm sitting here thinking, "No, it sucks. It can't do anything for us." But he loves the statues, and they had a Muscle Man statue in it too. So I got to laugh at that again.
So good. Now, with that, though, we talked earlier on Mario 64 being on the DS. So they did do the Superstar Ultra on the DS, which actually included, besides the original 8, added 4 more if I remember right. Did you ever play that as well on the DS, or
No, I didn't even.
Just
It was just the Super Nintendo one.
Okay.
And I've had the Super Nintendo a couple times. So when we had the system, I couldn't tell you what happened to it or all the games I had. And then I had it again when I don't know if anyone of you guys remember. There was a point in time where these things called man boxes got popular, and you could buy one. You could buy one. There was different versions of them. So my wife, my girlfriend at the time, bought me a man box. And I'm sitting there trying to open this wooden box with this tiny crowbar, and this crowbar.
Oh, they were terrible crowbars.
I mean, she's taking a video of me. It's funny because my family's all watching me. They're like, "Oh, what a fun gift! What's in it?" And I can't open this damn box because this crowbar doesn't. It's like basically bending against the wood. And so I was there struggling. Eventually, I think I just broke it. I was started pounding on the box to open it, and it was a portable Super Nintendo. It was a handheld. Wow. It's a handheld. It was a red. It's this big red thing, and you could put Super Nintendo cartridges in it, and it was a screen. It was a handheld Super Nintendo, and I bought Kirby again there, and then I've played it on the Switch. I've played it all the way through on the Switch again too, and so I've only played that original one.
Okay. Nice. And don't worry, it wasn't just you, those man boxes, man crates. They actually, instead of just the staples with the crowbar, it was actually glued as well. So I think they just did that on purpose to make everybody look bad. Because same thing, I got one as a gift, and I basically ended up bending that crowbar in half. Because it was only a little 4 or 5 inch crowbar. It's not actually going to do anything.
No,
the fact it was all glued, but they tricked you with the staples. So it's not just you. It's not just you. It's just there to embarrass you a little bit before the reward of opening the box.
Exactly what it is.
Hi, I'm Adnan, one of the co-hosts of Strangecast.
And I'm the other co-host of Strangecast, Adam.
Yes, this is Strangecast, Player One vs. the World's Life is Strange centric podcast. We mainly talk about Life is Strange, but we also talk about games from Deck 9, from Square Enix, from Don't Nod, and we also bring on people from the community of Life is Strange and also developers, and including voice actors. Many of whom have won awards for their performances.
So come check us out on all major platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Come check us out. Strangecast.
Cheers.
All right, well, let's move into your honorable mentions. We're going to talk about a few games. Didn't quite make the original list here, but we're going to talk about them anyway. The first of which is, it's How I Met You, Ray. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, 4.7 rated on the site. And I won't forget, I don't remember exactly what the Dad Gaming event was, whether it was, the big event with the prizes and everything. But all I remember was all of a sudden, this Mario's coming out of nowhere. We think it's some chucklehead who's just there goofing around. And Mario's out there whooping everybody. So sure enough, this guy starts hanging around. Then we find out, Mario's not his main character. He starts coming in here with a piranha plant and making that goofy character whoop everybody around, patooing on everybody. Anyway, so I bring all this up just to say, where did Smash start for you?
So I'll say this: the 3 games that I put up top are the only 3 games that I've beaten 100% through, and because on the site I put up. I've been playing Prince of Persia and I finished that, and I talk about Ori all the time and tell everybody to go play that. And Brian got me to play Grease, and I loved that. But when I think of video games, the only thing I want to do, I just want to be really happy when I play video games. And the only 3 games that I've played 100% are those 3 because I can play them at any time and be really happy about playing them. And so that's what I want to do when I play games. I just want to be happy and have a good time. And then these next 3 games.
Let's talk about the opposite.
Basically, and then the other side is all these games where I'm not happy as I'm competing against people. But I suffer through it and it's just it's a different kind of relationship with these games. But so Smash Bros. Ultimate, playing as Mario because that's all I knew from all the other Smash Bros. Games from 64. To Dr. Mario, that was on Melee. That was my guy on Dr. Mario. I didn't Mario on Brawl, which is a hilarious game. I did not play on the Wii U. I didn't have Smash 4. I didn't have a Wii U. I didn't play games basically between the Wii and like the Switch. I was not playing video games.
Everyone has their dark ages, Ray.
Yeah, so that's my section. Kind of like second half of college. Just wasn't playing games at that time. And then, so I got Ultimate. Why did I get it? I can't remember. I got it with the Switch. I bought it with the Switch from a third party vendor. Some person was selling a Switch, the game, and a controller for like $300. And I finally was at a point where I think I played it at the high school I was working at. So some students had it at the high school, and they were like, "Hey, can we play this here?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. What is this?" And like a Super Smash Brothers. And I was like, "Oh, I've played that back in the day." And they were like, "Really? Like you play?" And I'm like, "Yes. Like I guess I play games." And I played it, and I did well. They were like, "Whoa, you can play?" I was like, "Yeah, listen, it's the same game. Like the buttons haven't changed. There's some new moves, cool, great, but it's the same thing." So I ended up buying a Switch basically from that. Like my son is now about a year old. Life is kind of settling in, and so in my head, I'm a Mario main. Like this has been my guy, and that's who I'm playing with. And I learned very quickly that I'm not a Mario main. I'm not that good with this character.
It's all delusion.
It's all. Listen, let me tell you the reality checks I've had with this game, making me think back to all the games I played. And I was like, maybe I wasn't really that good at games overall. Like maybe because I don't remember competing and stuff. I probably had to play. The first time I played it, probably had to be with like a half Joy-Con.
Okay,
because they brought it in and just played. So
He was like a pool hustler. He just kept the wave bird sitting in the in the desk waiting for this day to come.
I love the wave bird.
My brother still. He's actually at some point. He said he's going to send me because he's like, I was just taking up room in his apartment. And he's like, "You want the GameCube?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, I still got the the wave bird and everything." I was like, "Yeah, send it." Like,
it's still the best. I think it's still the best wireless controller. Let me tell you, there was no latency issues with a Wavebird.
No.
That's unheard of at the time.
Oh yeah, and I think I remember I remember playing was it Tony Hawk Underground, and
sure,
yeah, like just sitting on the couch away from the TV, like it's like this is perfect, like, and yeah, no latency, nothing, hitting all the tricks I need to and everything like that, and yeah, I don't think I've had actually since way ahead of its time.
All right, let's get back into it. I don't know what's happening. My internet speed suddenly got a little wonky at 11:10. But anyway, it looks like we're stable again. Sorry about that.
So Mario main, and then I realized playing online, and I'm like, wow, I'm losing a lot. Like maybe I wasn't as good as this game as I thought I was, and I would learn that I was not. Because I just I can't keep up. I'm like, I don't even know that Elite Smash exists. Like I had no clue that was a thing, and I'm like,
it wasn't advertised. You didn't know it was there. Yeah,
again, there's your hidden feature. I mean, just getting killed. And I remember hearing about it at some point and thought, I think they're making that up. I don't think that's a real thing. Like I'm not there. I don't even know what this is. And then again, so students had been bringing the game in. We had a little gaming club that I was like the sponsor of there in the school. And the kids were like, all right, we're going to play this random round. And everybody has to pick like a green character. I think it was like a green character or like a character with leaves or something real specific. And I just picked Piranha Plant on a whim. I mean, because the only option, it was like Plant, Ivysaur, and there might be one other that I'm forgetting that might have leaves or something to it. Like Mega Man has leaves, so I think like somebody could have taken that one. And so I was completely on a whim, and I played, and I was like, oh, this was fun. I was like something about this seems right, and I went home and bought the character because I did not have it with the game, and I bought it. It was like this was before the DLCs. I think it's before all the DLCs.
It was if you bought the game right away, they came with you. Yeah.
Yes. No, I paid $5 just Piranha Plants before all the other DLCs happened. And everything was all of a sudden everything was working better. and I was winning more, and I was like, I'm not supposed to play characters like Mario. Like that's not something I'm actually good at. Like I'm not doing these combos. Like, but I can use this character who's super heavy, and then I hit Elite Smash with it, and that was really the sign. I was like, oh, this is the character I'm going to use. So that's kind of like that's the start for me with Smash Brothers.
You're like Charlie Bucket opening the golden ticket up,
basically.
And then hashtag Plant Gang was born. You know.
So, what are your thoughts on the game modes? We've talked about this before. Obviously, you know, there are the tryhards out there. There's the game the good Lord Sakurai intended with just characters and items everywhere. Where do you stand?
Oh, I've been a tryhard forever. I mean, I played with there was me and two other guys who played Melee a lot and then Brawl, and both of them were better than me. It did like with regardless of the characters. But we only played like every time we played was on Final Destination with no items and 1-on-1, and it was the only way I wanted to play. Even Smash Ultimate, I couldn't tell you today all the items that are available. I probably can't tell you. I could not tell you half the stages that are there. The only kind of like funny stage is Poke Floats from back in the day, because Poke Floats was a special stage on Brawl. Was it on Brawl or was it on Melee?
I think it was Melee, now. I believe. Yeah.
It was Melee. I mean, special stage to play on Poke Floats. But I was like, that was the only thing I wanted to do was play 1-on-1 against people. And that was, Melee specifically, when there was no, you didn't get tired from rolling. And so those matches just, the buttons just clicking the shoulder pads and rolling back and forth, because you could do it without any issue and finally getting your shot in. So that's just always the way I've wanted to play.
No tripping? You want trips brought back?
So what a wild idea that was. Like, hey, your character will randomly fall in the middle of your match. And so that was I don't know. I just thought it was funny. I was like, okay, this is the game. Like everybody can do it. Like everyone's going to trip at some point. You can dash. You can do essentially Brawl's version of wave dashing to avoid it. And then eventually, the only game that I've modded was Brawl, because my disc was scratched in a way that if I tried to play a multiplayer match, the game would crash because of the way it was scratched. But if I turned on Brawl Minus, which is the mod that I had, it would play. That is how the Brawl disc ended for me. It would only play if we played Brawl Minus, and that they removed the tripping from that. That was kind of the whole thing, and they souped up all the characters. And so like the latter half of playing Brawl was playing Brawl Minus with my brother mostly.
You were just a meme personification today, because again, Sakurai is out here doing no, this isn't how you're supposed to play the game repeatedly for you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm only playing this game like wanting to play 1-on-1 against people. It's really the only thing I like doing in the game.
Any other thoughts on Smash Ultimate and the height of I mean, again, all things being equal through 2020 and beyond, there were some big times in Smash Ultimate.
Well, listen, the dad gaming and playing Smash Ultimate there, and the amount of playing. I mean, again, this recording is going to come out quite a while after doing the Bombchu one, but like that conversation is still like fresh in my head. Talking about three years of events. I mean, and playing. I mean, almost every night with this kind of same group of people. Some people who are coming in and out, but of like a core group of us, and clearly getting better and better and better. And it's almost my headache with the game now, because there was a point where like we peaked on just how good we were. As some went out and played like in the actual crew battle system with all these young people and did well. Like myself, like played in crews and did well. I was like, oh yeah, no, we are actually really good at this game. All of us, we're like a level under like pro level, essentially. Like I really feel like the people in the group are that good. And myself included. I think I'm really, really good at the game. And it's frustrating because I don't play it. I really rarely play it now, just because there's been so many games, and I just hope and wish that the next time there's a Smash, there is a ranked mode to it, and not this random number that generates on, I don't know, whenever it feels like. No one really knows the system it runs on. But so like now if I play, my character is at a level that like I'll lose a bunch because I just don't play enough to keep up. Like the Smash Bros. To me, I think is one of the most technical games. I think it's one of the most difficult games to be good at. I think people who've played the longest just have like such an absolute advantage over younger players. Obviously, there's the pros, and there's always gonna be these like young kids that show up. But like, I'm never gonna lose a game to like any of my students. They're, I have 7th and 8th graders now, and some of them play and they think, and I can sleep. There's no world where you're ever gonna beat me because I've been playing this game for 20 something years, and with the gravity changes and mechanics change to some degree. But I mean, the game is, I think it's one of the hardest games to play.
It's wired,
difficult.
It's wired into you though.
Yeah, exactly. It's I don't have to think about it. I know the buttons I'm going to press. So I talk about when I really was into it. I think there was 2 kind of ways people play Smash Bros. There's some people that play on a script, and you play knowing they want to hit certain moves and certain combos and certain percentages. And I think there's some people that could play off script essentially, and could change it up and depending on who they're playing against. And I think both kind of styles have success. I'd like to think that I play more off script than I did on script. There's certain combos that I knew, like there's certain things I know if you're at 140%, I'm throwing you up with piranha plants. I feel really good knowing how far distance I can hit you with a stem strike. If I throw poison somewhere, I have an assumption that you're going to land in this spot and I'm going to use this move. So stuff like that. I think it might be the hardest game, like from a technical standpoint and all the things you have to do. I mean, it's tough, and you have to know 80 something matchups, like to actually do well. You do have to know what the other characters are trying to do.
It's a big rock paper scissors match, is what I try and explain to people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're definitely not off there. Did forget a third group though that's in there is the ones like me, just the button smashers. Like I know every time I'm just gonna go for the up smash with Ike because I know that's all I got.
I like. So see, I like I don't mind playing with people that that this game was not their life. Like the game was my life. I remember going back and playing against people, friends in real life who, used to be like same level as me or better than me. And it felt like when Neo finally sees the Matrix and all of a sudden the agents can't touch him. And I was like, oh, I really am a lot better than I used to be. Like these people were just like same level or better than me. And like they can't touch me now. And it's like, oh, like we like this group of people, like we are playing like real high level games, which also sometimes turns it into a miserable experience. Like there's no doubt there are some nights that game got miserable, because it just takes a lot out of you. But I like playing with people. There's people who didn't make it their life, and like I never wanted to kill somebody who I knew like I was a lot better in. Like I'm not trying to beat you up. Like I'll run around the stage and I'll lose a stock. It's not the end of the world to me. And I'll do it in a way that doesn't make my opponent like I'm not trying to embarrass my opponent or make it obvious that I'm like kind of letting it happen. Like you can lower your level of play when you play the game as well, as I do and people around me do.
Well, speaking of grinding and things, I wouldn't say always making miserable, but moving on to your next honorable mention, there is the I'd say probably one of the more popular games here on Channel 3 with a impressive 4.7 ratings through 466 reviews, and you have an impressive elite rank with it, as we have Fortnite coming in here. And so what got you started into Fortnite, and why is it an honorable mention?
Wow, it's the game I play the most now, for sure. And I play Fortnite way back. It probably was in chapter 1, but like so sparingly because it was on a computer that could not handle the game. This was my college laptop. Don't even know why I tried it. I probably just saw something on it, played a couple, but the graphics was so terrible. And I didn't play it again for years, but I know I turned it on then, and then I played it on the Switch. It was Fortnite's actually how I got to the dad gaming. I think I was playing it on the Switch, and I saw an ad for the Fortnite group and the big Planters tournament, and so I played in that, and that's where I actually got my dad gaming jersey. I won it on one of the random giveaways. I remember getting this email. I mean, it had to be from I don't know if it was Joel or Bad Intel. One of them sent me an email from the dad saying, "Hey, congrats! You won a random giveaway of a Planters jersey," and that's how I got my first jersey. Really started playing the Marvel season, so I think that's chapter 2.
I think that was the one right before I came in, because I came in on the Primal, so I think that was right before the season, right before it. Yeah.
So I played that, and I remember starting seeing complaints like, "Oh, what are all these powers? Like, this is not Fortnite." And in my head, I was like, "Well, whatever Fortnite was before, like, this is great. This is so cool. You can't. I can be Iron Man. Like, I have to go fight Wolverine in the forest. Like, this. I was all in. I thought this was so much fun. I'm pretty sure I'm still playing on the Switch at this point until I get my first gaming laptop and switch over. But I'm still using controller all this time, and I'm not very good at the game. But I'm having so much fun, and then they flood the map eventually, and that's a crazy thing. That the game's underwater essentially.
Basically, yeah.
I leave for a while because I didn't play the Primal season. I kind of saw it and I was like, I'm out. I just didn't play it, and then came back probably a little after that. Maybe it was when chapter 3 started, and that's kind of like I haven't stopped since chapter 3, and that game, it just keeps changing. Like, that game right now is the epitome to me of what games are supposed to be. At least these live action ones, these live service ones, where they're like, we're going to keep updating. We have all these extra modes. I didn't play a lot of the extra modes early on, but it's going to be a different game every couple months. And it just stays new, and it stays fun to just go back to.
Oh, I definitely can't complain about that either. I mean, you look at, games that have lasted, decades, if you will, like, WoW just turned 20 or is about to turn 20, and like, so the fact that it has these expansions and things going on, so the fact that, like you mentioned, that it's an ever-changing game that Fortnite is each season, each chapter, and I could see, everyone makes the same complaint, those that are playing since the OG chapter 1. It's not what it was, just straight builds, and you had to work around it a lot more open space, but then each chapter has added something unique, I think. And so with that, what do you think has been your favorite either season or chapter in general, especially including weapons or loadouts or anything like that? Like, what has stood out to you the most has been your favorite add-in or something you wish they'd bring back?
I loved the season with the agents, which had to be somewhere in chapter 2, I think. When they had the fortress right in the middle of the map. Yes. What was that like the agency castle? That whole thing was so cool. I just remembered like wanting to everyone. That was the one spot. It was like right in the middle of the map, so everyone wanted to go to it. So that was one thing I loved. And then the other thing that I can just think of is, and I think I talked about this on someone else's podcast, was when they added ODM gear, and all the Attack on Titan stuff. So I think I said it already, that whoever was in charge of doing the physics of that ODM gear in Fortnite, I need them to just make an Attack on Titan game, because it was absolutely the exact way I would expect ODM gear to be if I play a game. Like, it moved correctly, it attacked correctly, and so like that just sticks out to me.
And I feel like being like, you being a fan of the show, just like, just added to it the fact that that they actually wasn't just like, hey, we're gonna throw this in here and it's gonna be like the spider gloves, and the fact that they actually took that extra time for the detail and everything like that. Which with that though, has there been any of the other crossovers that, like, skin wise, that has been your favorite? Because they have done so many.
They're killing it with these skins. For sure. The My Hero ones I just think looked really well. They looked good.
Yeah.
So I grabbed those. And I think they've gotten better because I don't have any of the Naruto ones because I remember seeing them and thinking they don't look right. Like they haven't figured out how to put these, animes they're all hand, well, no. They've started to make them some computerized, but they were mostly hand drawn. So they're 2D at the end of the day because they're hand drawn. And so they didn't look right early on, but they've really figured it out. Like the Cell one that they put out with Cell and Frieza look amazing, and I love those. The My Hero ones are great. Even the Ninja Turtles, like Ninja Turtles are not my thing. I'm not like a fan of them in a real way, but they looked amazing. Like they've really figured out how to add in all these outside characters to the game. So I look forward to it. I love seeing, like, that's what I save my V-Bucks for. I don't need the kind of like the Fortnite original characters. I know there's some people that really love those. Like, I'm waiting to see what the next collaboration is.
Oh yeah, they're going to be. They have so many that they brought in, and just I think the appeal to the masses that it brings is, as I feel like that's why it's been such a constant top played game there. But you mentioned earlier about some of the newer game modes. Like, what has been your thoughts so far? Have you touched any besides Rocket Racing? I know we have some time trialing going on like that, but have you messed with the festival or the Lego Fortnite or anything like that? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
So Lego, I don't, because it's like I don't really care about Minecraft or any kind of sandbox or like building survival games. It's just not something I'm into. I'm happy for everyone that gets to play Lego. Like it's super cool, right, that they have it, but it's not my thing. I loved Fortnite Festival early on, so I played a song because I played Guitar Hero back in the day. Loved Guitar Hero, like I'm all into that. On the computers for a while was Flash Revolution, which was the browser version of Dancer's Revolution, which is with the arrows. So I've been into those rhythm games. There's some things that I wish they would change, which is probably the reason I don't play it as much. If I had a guitar, if I actually went ahead and bought a guitar and plugged it in, I would probably play it more. But the only big issue I have with it is that you only push the buttons and it doesn't require strumming. So it also ruins kind of like my muscle memory of how to play it. Like I'm playing Guitar Hero, I hold down the green button essentially the entire song, and because I could do that, and I strum when I want the combos to go through. That's the one thing kind of holding me back with the festival.
I could see that. Now I know it was discussed on an earlier podcast about because they did buy, like Epic basically has all the rights and everything to
the Rock Band.
Like the Rock Band. Has anyone actually tried yet? Like since that, I forget who it was on there, but like tried plugging in to like a guitar or anything like that yet?
I've seen people on TikTok do it. There are some guitars. I don't know if they're like old Rock Band ones or whatnot. There are some guitars that the game will pick up and use.
Oh, nice.
And they keep rumoring that they're going to make one specifically for the game.
A very active rumor. I believe that one. I think I've seen a mock-up of it too.
It's just a matter of how much it'll cost and whether I'd actually buy it. But again, the lack of the strumming feature, that part throws me off from it.
Yeah, when we had the set your high score on a song, that's like the first time messing with it, and I was like, just without the strumming part, my hands were like, I don't like what's going on here. So I could totally see that portion of it. But we're talking upcoming collabs. I saw in the news. I know you're a Kingdom Hearts fan. What's your thoughts of the crossover with Disney and Epic here?
Let me say that, like, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm just not. I'm not a fan of most things that Disney is doing these days, and that's a whole separate conversation. I'm not a big fan of the things they're doing these days. That's just the thing. I'm still still planning on going to Disney World because Disney World is a whole separate place, and I love that place so much. I'm just hoping that Disney said, "Hey, here's a bunch of money. We just kind of want a piece of whatever you guys are doing, and just like go out and do it." Like I hope it's a lot of epic creative control on this, and obviously if they put a Keyblade in Fortnite as a pickaxe, I will spend money. If they charge me for every version of the Keyblade, I'll pay for every single version of the Keyblade.
Nice. All right, so moving on to our last honorable mention here. I feel like this is probably one of your favorite games that we've I know is probably been one of your favorites to probably play recently is Mario Strikers Battle League, right? That was the top one.
That is not the game. That is not the game on the list.
All right. I had to put a little salt on the wound on it there, but Mario Strikers Charged, 3.8 rated by the crew there, released on the Wii in 2007. But you said it is the greatest Mario sports game of all time. Tell us why. Why is it?
It is absolutely the best Mario sports game there is. And this is, having played baseball, having played the tennis games and love the tennis games. This is the best one because it's fast paced. It's quick. It has the stuff that you would expect from other Mario games because it has different levels that have hazards in them that affect the gameplay. It has items. So if you play Mario Kart, this has the same items. There's a blue shell in it. There's a red shell in it. You could throw bombs. I think there's lightning. There might be lightning. I can't remember exactly. And the characters are all different. It matters which captain you use because every captain has a different special ability, and all the assistants each have their own special ability. And so you have to figure out what style of play do you want to do, what combos do you want to put together. It had online. I played it online, and it told you your rank, and it showed your actual oh my gosh, I'm losing the word, your wins and losses against the opponent, and it told them how many wins and losses they have, so you knew the kind of person you were going to play against too. And it was some delay to it because the Wii Online was far from perfect, but it utilized the Wiimote and a nunchuck. You would shake the Wiimote if you wanted to tackle somebody. And so you had to decide, you're going to tackle them and give up an item to them, or are you going to slide tackle and steal the ball? There's just so much to it. And I played it. I played online. I played it with my brother a whole bunch. I love the game. I played it on the 64, the original, and that original. The GameCube. The GameCube had the original. And I say the same thing about it that I say with Mario 64, or Super Mario Smash Bros. On 64. Is that these were proof of concept games. The first one is fun because it was this is different. But when you look back, it's the maps are very basic. The assistants don't really matter. You get 3 of them right away. If you hit a special, congrats, you get 2 goals instead of 1. But that game's a proof of concept. And then on the Wii, I think it's just perfection.
Now, did you have a favorite player with their skill shot, or did you have what was your go-to captain team makeup that you had going on there?
So I used Mario. That was the main one. The captain I used, he turned giant. He turned to Super Mario. If you got his special, and you could squish everybody and kind of send a goal out. And then my style is very funny because I would use Toad, Dry Bones, and Boo. And the thing for me was I didn't care a whole lot about taking shots. So my entire team is very bad at shooting goals, but Toad could flip. His thing, instead of sliding or dodging, he would flip in the air. And so if you had the spacing and the timing right, you could flip right over the goalie and score a goal.
Oh, wow.
And so and it wasn't easy. You mess it up and the goalie's going to tackle you. Even if you get over him, he'll grab you before you score the goal. So I would use that because I'm going to flip over this goalie every time. Dry Bones, if you charged up the ball, which meant passing, which was another thing, you needed to pass the ball to your teammates to charge up the shot. He could teleport. And so if you have your spacing correctly, you teleport right past the goalie and score a goal. If your spacing is off, you will pass the goal and teleport into the electric fence. So it was Boo was the hardest. Boo would disappear for a second, and so you could disappear through the goalie, but it was near impossible to actually hit that one. But so my whole team was I'm just my spacing is better than yours, and that's how I'm gonna win. That was kind of my thing. My brother was the complete opposite. My brother was gonna use Birdo and Hammer Bros, and so he's no, I'm gonna take power shots, and you're not gonna stop me from taking my power shots. It was 2 very conflicting styles, and that's how we went about it over and over again.
Well, that's actually, I was actually gonna talk a bit about there though. Talk about that ball ability and that passing. So that's perfect. So I was gonna ask you that was your thing, was to pass it back and forth to get that charge up on it. Because that was, they said, the more movement of the ball, the stronger the ball would get for shots and things like that. So nailed it there. But with that though, I know I joked earlier about the Battle League thing. Did not try to put the salt on the wound there, but do you think that that's the direction for the next, if they're doing another, Mario Striker, that the direction they went with Charge there is kind of the direction they need to get back to on the Switch, or the next generation of the Switch that we'll see there?
I mean, I've said it. All you had to do was if you just re-released Charged and added 4-on-4 online, because I don't think, like, the Wii also didn't have 4-on-4, but it was new, so it was like, of course, like, we're not ready to have 8 people kind of playing once against each other on this system. But I mean, the Switch has 12 people playing Mario Kart at the same time. You have 8 people in a room in Smash Brothers playing. You can only play, only 4 of them fight at once. But the fact that they did not have 4-on-4 online makes just no sense to me. So if you literally just take Charged, and they took everything out of it, like the assistants don't really matter, because there's no assistants. You pick 3. You have to pay characters. Now you have to buy armor packs. Getting gold to buy this armor is next to near impossible. The single player mode is not very fun. So I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. They took everything out of the game that was fun. Even the power shots. I mean, the power shots in Charged, you could, if you played somebody who was really good, your power shots were meaningless, and you kind of wasted your time because you had to aim the Wiimote at the screen and block the shots. And it's like, oh, go ahead, take 6 shots. Like, I'm gonna block them all anyway. So people would be de-incentivized from actually using your power shot if you had somebody who was really good at blocking them. Yep. And it added like this weird like pressure. Like I'd start making noise. Like I'd start shooting my shot, and I'll tell my brother, like, no, don't miss this one. Hurry, watch out here. So like there's just, again, everything about Charge was great, and then they took all the great things out. It's very upsetting.
Well, on to the future now, where we're going to talk about a game that you're looking forward to. In this case, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Pumping this one up here. The 4th in the series, but the first time they're changing to the literal Japanese translation. Frankly, I remember when I was trying to put some of these into the library, it was flipping confusing because of the Budokai series and the Budokai Tenkaichi.
Yep.
Yeah, between the 2 series, but it may have been a little bit of craftiness on the part of Atari when they named it, trying to capitalize on that. But this is the first time they're cracking this one since Tag Team in 2010, I think, which was just a PSP or Vita, just PSP, I think. And the 3rd game was back in 2007, so they're picking this one back up after a while, the newest gen and PC only. But what are you looking forward to here, Ray?
So the last one I played was also on the Wii. It was Budokai Tenkaichi 2. And this was a game that, again, me and my brother would just go at it. We played it. So, I love Dragon Ball Z. It's just loving anime in general. I love Dragon Ball Z. That game, we'd play matches. The characters could get souped up to these kind of ridiculous levels. Like my brother used Adult Gohan. That was kind of like we would play 5-on-5, and I'm talking about matches that might last an hour long because of how strong you can make these characters. Like his Adult Gohan had like ultimate blocking on it, so he didn't even have to time the shot. He just hit block, and any energy blasts were automatically like reflected back. And like my souped up person was Vegeta. My guy could do all these kind of things, and so I just, like, it was so much fun, and I'm just so excited to play it again with all the new graphics and the new characters. And again, this kind of second half of my list plus this game is all games that you can compete solo. And so like I like competing solo. Like I want to play 1-on-1 Smash Brothers, Fortnite. Anytime I do ranked mode, like I play it by myself. Like, and sometimes people invite me, and I don't accept them because I'm literally sitting in like a hoodie in the dark playing this game just like by myself. And because I'm happy to play with others just for fun, but like if it matters, I want to be alone and playing it. And so that's the same thing with this one here. Like I'm going to put time in this one to really like excel at it and play 1-on-1 and fight.
Fair enough. Next, we're going to take you on a question from the Channel 3 history books. We're going to pick for you to discuss. I had a tough time with this one because there were 2 I wanted to come at here, and I'm going to pick this one. What is your favorite fighting game?
Ooh,
Because you didn't answer any of the fighting games we've just talked about.
Oh, really?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I thought I put it wasn't Budokai 3. No, it wasn't. No, because it's Marvel vs. Capcom 3, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on the Xbox 360. That's where I played it. And that one had online features too. So that's the one that I played online against people. Let me tell you. So I played number 2 in the arcades all the time. And so that was the game I played in the arcade. I've actually discovered Marvel vs. Capcom 1. There's this donut shop that we go to that they have the arcade box there, and you just play it for free. So like my son and I will play it. And so I played 2 in the arcade all the time, and then 3 came out on this 360. And it was like automatically bought it. I think it was actually like when the 360 had like that online store. Because
it did. They had the arcade. Right? Yeah, they had the arcade.
Okay, and that's where this one was. That's where I grabbed it. I'm pretty sure that's where I grabbed it. And it was like, oh, they kind of made 3D graphics at that whole like 2.5D kind of gaming. And I love that game so much. I remember using Arthur. I have never played the actual game that Arthur is in, but that was my dude. This little small character. It had I think Beautiful Joe was in it, and I loved that game. Beautiful Joe on the GameCube and Beautiful Joe 2. I've said before, if you remake those games, I'm in. And so like that, that's a fighting game to me. I love that one, these 2D fighting games, specific ones. So I love that one. I love the fast combos. I love that you can break out of the combos, which is I think what Dragon Ball Fighter Z misses out on, which is why I didn't love it. Like I bought it, but I don't love it because you can't break out of a combo. Like if someone just hits you perfectly, you just sit there and lose. But you can break out of combos in Marvel vs. Capcom, and so that style is super fun to play. And I played it a lot.
All right. So the last thing that we always ask here on What Are Your 3 is what is your favorite Channel 3 feature?
Man, I've been thinking about this one so much.
This sucks to answer. So doesn't it suck?
Hey, I ask the question every week, and I've been sitting for days thinking what's my favorite feature. And so there's one real one, but I'm gonna say one a little tongue in cheek, and it's all the God mode features that I have as an admin on Channel 3. I'll say that first. Like I love all my special yellow boxes that mostly no one else can see. Because I do enjoy, I don't know, maybe this is a shock. I enjoy being in control of things. So like I like running things. I enjoy running my classroom. I enjoy the things that I run on the website. And Joel makes it very easy to run stuff with all the special buttons that we have. And then like the actual feature is probably the lists. I like listing stuff out, especially the, what I finished, what I've completed per year, because I feel like it's a nice historical record of what I was thinking about that year and kind of like the style of gaming that I was playing. And so it's nice to look back on. I like doing what I'm like now playing, like currently playing stuff, because sometimes I'll look at it and be like, oh man, I was playing that and I kind of forgot I was playing. Like it kind of fell off. Am I gonna, pick it back up, or should I take it off my list? So I like it. Organizes my thoughts. So I'm a big fan of putting all the lists together. And to me it's like Goodreads. And when I came on Channel 3, that was the way it was sold to me in my own head. In my head, I was coming here to organize the games I liked and to put ratings on them. So that's just a continuation of it for me.
Ray, there's no shout outs for the merch that will probably have been released by the time people hear this that we've been teasing.
That's going to be that'll be my favorite feature. Should I say? I'm afraid to say. Can I say it here?
Because the thing is, this isn't coming out.
I don't know.
It's not coming out until the middle of March, so maybe I'll have to edit it out. But I'm pretty sure this stuff's coming out next week. But the fact that the fact that the sleeveless shirts are being called the Ray skin.
Love it. Yes. I love it so much. I can't put into words the amount of joy I had when Joel sent me that link and he's like, hey, look at this. And like, it was a tank top because I had begged forever for there to be a tank top in the dad gaming store. I was like I can't be the only person in the world that likes tank tops.
You're not. It's just
right?
No one is who wants to step up and say
I was like, I was like we need one, and like it didn't happen until like the new one with the Stream Element store, like kind of later on. And so like I've mentioned to Joel like only a handful of times, and it felt like immediate. Like the second he updated the store, he was like, by the way, there's a tank top now. You said you wanted a tank top. It's here, and it's named after you. Yeah. And like, what design do you want on it? Because like he even asked me, he's like, you like this design? And I'm like, yeah, I do want a Mario Wonder flower on my tank top because I love Mario Wonder. And he's like, yeah, sure, here you go. Like that's your shirt now. So like that. That's it seems like it's probably like a little thing, but like it was like huge. Because I said, hey, I would like this, and it was like heard. It was heard and it was responded to. It was like, yeah, sure, here you go. I can make that. That's a very simple thing to do immediately. Go get a tank top.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what. Yeah. It's gonna sell out. I'm calling it now. Everybody wants to be like Ray.
now, Bromein gets to land this plane, Ray.
Oh boy, here we go. Once again, we find ourselves at the end here of another What Are Your Three? Thanks for joining us here, Ray. You can find Ray over at c3.gg/Ray. You can also find the podcast over at c3.gg/podcast. Once again, I am cknbromein here with Dan and Ray, executive produced by Joel Willis, theme song by Castor Garden, and you find at c3.gg/Castor Garden. The podcast is dropping every Wednesday morning at 3:33 a.m. Eastern on all major platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple.
Channel 3 is the future.
Nailed it.
That's actually the one that like I was scared of the whole time going through the.
It's my fault for not having updated at this point because I read it out of order. And I should just change the order.
He landed the plane.
He did. I'm just saying it's funny listening to because he's saying it. I'm like, that is the order it's written in.
It is actually.
I just never read it in that order.
I know. I started thinking, I was like, why is the dropping and then all the way down at the bottom? It's Wednesday morning.
Yeah, I've never changed
because it's just there as a suggestion at this point. The notes are just there for us.
Yeah.
It's there.
I know you guys have
the order I go in.
I'm not gonna lie, because I had like a 3-hour layover, and like I was sitting there. Well, in the morning, I was sitting there like starting to type out notes and stuff, and I was like, when is this Google Doc gonna like update? Because you said it last night, and I'm like sitting there and saying, do I add notes? Do I not add notes? I had like a whole like Apple Note thing going on my phone, and I was like, I'm just gonna wing it. I don't know,
Mission accomplished.
Ray, nerve-wracking. I'm sorry.
We've prepared. Well, maybe your episode will be less than 2 hours, unlike mine. But Jesus Christ,
I don't like being on this side of it.
No,
this is a little nerve-wracking.
Make sure I hit the. Okay, good. I did hit the recording button.
Wait.
64 episodes in, have not failed to hit the record button yet. Yes, let's go.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
Last night was a close one, Ray. By the way, that was.
Oh man.
I was chatting with him before you got on, and had not hit the button when I had started, so started chatting. So
was that with Will Go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good chat with him.
It was a very good chat with him.
I looked at the notes a little bit when I was
scouting.
He posted the doc in there. Yeah, just kind of like seeing like how the flow goes. And I was like, that's actually some pretty good questions and some other stuff. And
he's a fun guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry too much about them because like some of the questions don't get asked. Some of them do. Like you just kind of figure it out on the fly. It's always fun to see it's fun to try and figure out whether Ray's going to slug a 12-ounce soda or if he's going to be popping the 2-liter Pepsi.
They only happen. Those 2 liters only happen if we go to the pizza place. So we haven't gone there.
You don't have
weeks.
Like the liter of Mexican Coke ready to go.
That I don't. That I do not have.
The big bottle.
Channel 3 is the future.